This has been so much fun, and still one more to come. If you are in the search and digital marketing industry, there's no doubt you'll know my next guest, as she's one of the most popular speakers on the circuit. Lily Ray is not only a leading expert, but also popular industry commentator and fountain of wisdom when it comes to all things SEO. Not only that, Lily and I live only a few miles away from each other, and we have a few more things in common than just SEO and marketing generally. So let's find out what those things are and round off this two-part special in style. Here's Lily. So Lily and I have known each other for a little while, and I've been trying so long to get this interview. She nearly had me arrested for stalking. Anyway, I'm so glad you could make it. Thank you for giving us the time. You had a little bit of a trauma on your way here. Are you feeling better now?
I
know you
am.
were ill on the plane, yeah?
Quite the episode. Kind of unforgettable. I ended up having to go to the hospital for food poisoning and an allergy that took over my body, and spent the night in the hospital the night that I was supposed to come here, but had to come anyway, so powering through and feel much better now. So.
Well, that's the New York spirit in you. So, Lily, you get to speak. I mean, a lot of people know who you are because you're very, very present within the industry, and you get to speak at a lot of conferences. But just for the benefit of anybody who may not know what your actual real job is, what do you actually do?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't actually know what my actual job is. So I've worked at an agency called Amsive Digital for just over 5 years. My current title is Senior SEO Director and Head of Organic Research, which is a made-up title, obviously, because I have a two-part job. So half of my job is traditional, senior SEO Director responsibilities, so helping oversee the SEO team. We are 35 people now.
Wow.
We actually have 4 other directors, so there's 5 directors. Just kind of insane. It's grown quite a bit.
You guys were acquired. You're part of a larger organization.
We were acquired. We used to be Path Interactive, so we've rebranded to Amsive Digital, and the team's grown pretty quickly. So that's part of the job, just traditional, a lot more like business development with my role. So that's where the other half of the role comes in, which is industry research, speaking at events, writing articles, trying to stay up to date with the latest and greatest, and then kind of spending a lot of time, I do audits for clients for the agency as well, and then join a lot of calls and talk about what's happening in the industry.
So you and I met last year, and we were having a general chat, and I almost let you speak for a minute. But there's an interesting thing between us that I was a drummer.
Oh yeah.
Many years ago, and people may not know that you're a drummer, and I was a DJ for a long time. I worked on radio. I was a DJ on radio in the UK for more than 10 years. And you're also a DJ
and a
drummer,
worlds colliding.
And I'm really jealous because I saw recently in that cool place you've got in Brooklyn, you built your own little club in the...
Yeah, that's a life dream. It's a dream that I didn't even know I had until I had the option with a basement in Brooklyn to do whatever I wanted with it.
So cool.
It's awesome. You got to come by sometime.
Yeah, well, you had on Facebook last week that you had a little thing going. I thought if I pop round there, she will have me arrested.
No, anybody's welcome. We have no bouncers. We have no, it's probably not a great thing, but anybody's welcome.
Well, now you've said it, I'll turn up.
Anybody, everyone's going to be knocking down the door now.
I just noticed as well. We're in Austin. You're wearing cowboy boots, and they seem to be the.
Yes, these are from Texas too. They're legit.
So, given that I've already mentioned that you speak at a lot of conferences, you're a very popular speaker. I guess I could say, what were you speaking about here? You touch on many topics.
Yeah.
What I really want to know is, when you're at a conference, and let's just choose this one because you are here.
Sure.
What is it that you look for in sessions? Do you actually go to the sessions, and what do you pick up? And if that's the case, what did you pick up at this one?
Yeah.
Apart from everybody talking about ChatGPT.
Yeah. That was definitely the big topic. It's exciting too because I go to so many events. I speak at so many events that things were kind of getting a little stale the last couple of years. So this was invigorating because there's this new AI conversation and a lot of people using it in different ways. So that's fun. In general, because this is such a big part of my job now and so much of how I spend my time, I do see a lot of the same people talking about the same thing. So I don't always attend every talk. But there are certain speakers like Patrick Stocks who just spoke that I always make it a point to see him because I learn so much every time. So people that I know that I'll learn something from that I can take back and apply to my clients. I always try to attend those, but realistically, it's hard to attend all of them because you get tired, especially after speaking. It's a lot of information. Speaking is like a kind of an adrenaline rush, so sometimes you have to take a moment to go back to the hotel and breathe a little bit. But there's so many incredible speakers. I mean, this time around, I was interested in technical SEO. Definitely wanted to hear, Bing's keynote. And really how people are using the new AI tools is pretty interesting.
So I did, so kind of like you in my career, I was speaking all over the place. And then instead of taking a break, I actually ended up running the conference. So I burned myself out big time, believe me.
Quick road to burnout for sure.
But it's so nice that after that little pesky thing called the pandemic, that at least we can get together in person and real life at a conference now.
So nice, yeah.
So in terms of the whole ChatGPT thing, I've talked to everybody about that, but machine learning and AI has been around in the industry for a long time. The interesting thing mainly about this one is it's kind of like, mobile is going to be big, and mobile was going to be big for years. And voice search is the next thing, and SEO is dead again now because of voice search. And it's the same kind of thing with ChatGPT. I was lucky, I spoke to Gary from Google this morning. He did a keynote. He wasn't able to talk a lot about what they're doing with AI there because he has to get permissions and those kind of things, But I was able to ask him what's on the tongue of a lot of SEOs about generating content for Google or generating content for search using ChatGPT. And he didn't seem too bothered about it. He said, basically, at the end of the day, I don't care how you create the content. If it's the quality content that the end user wants, So you must have clients and other people in the industry generally asking you about how best to use this. I mean, what would you tell a client now? Because it's there. Do you use it just because it's there, or?
It's a great question. I mean, I think it's interesting that Gary said that, and I think that the problem with that statement is that SEOs like to take things out of context and almost like use a statement like that as permission to overuse something like GPT. And I think that what we're already seeing and what we're going to see a lot more of is when, of course, the tool is incredible, it does so many incredible things, but when you really read between the lines, it gets things wrong. It gets probably 10% of things wrong, and you don't always know what they are. So Marie Haynes, another great SEO, she shared last week, I used ChatGPT to make a really interesting playlist. Like, I described the type of music I wanted to hear, and I asked it to give me 10 songs. And 9 of the songs were great. The 10th song, it made up. It was it knew the artist.
It had run out of things to predict.
But it was an actual artist, but it was a song that never existed. And of course, that's an innocuous example, but how many other 10%, of things is it getting incorrect? So it's, for me at this moment, we are not recommending to clients in many cases to use it to take the content from GPT and put it on the site. We're using it for all kinds of purposes to speed up, Excel formulas and robots.txt directives and regex commands and things that speed up our process. But I certainly think everyone's going to bombard Google and search engines with this content now.
So I think for what you would call very kind of pragmatic uses like terms and conditions and boilerplates and those kind of things, it's fine. But when it comes down to the creative, one of the things that I said, I didn't realize that Gary had been a journalist in a previous life like me, and I explained to him that even when a journalist creates content, they have to give it to an editor where it's copy edited, and so if you're going to use ChatGPT, then you actually do have to have QA. You've got somebody else to fact check it and get it right,
Well, it just seems like right now as it stands, everyone's saying that you need to bring in an expert, you need to bring in an editor, and I'm like, at what point does it just become, is it really saving us that much time? You know what I mean?
Because I absolutely agree with you.
It's not learning from the feedback.
No,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Yeah. With the human, it's like, next time I won't make that mistake again. GPT's not going to do that.
So by the time you've created the content, weeded out the 10% that's not correct, fact-checked
every line,
You could have just said to a copywriter, write this for me,
right,
please.
and someone who knows what they're talking about, It's
exactly.
Yeah.
So, other than the fact that ChatGPT seems to be on everybody's mind at the moment, there are a couple of interesting things. I got to talk to Fabrice today as well. I saw his keynote this morning. I thought that was kind of interesting because Index Now is an idea, it's a thought that's been around for a very long time. And I explained to him that 20 years ago, I spoke to a guy called Brian Pinkerton, who was the inventor of Webcrawler, which arguably, with Google in there, was the world's first full text retrieval search engine. And back then the web was huge, it had millions of pages. And he was explaining to me all those years ago that the problem that they've got with crawling is they never know when the pages change, so they have to keep crawling the same pages over and over again. And as the index begins to grow exponentially, this is a huge overhead. It costs a lot of money to keep doing that. And in the conversation I was having with him, he said, if we could do something where the webmaster could let us know whether it had changed, he said, we were thinking about like an XML feed. This is 20 years ago, where you can say, don't crawl me because nothing has changed here. But it was wide open to spam, as you can imagine. And yet when I was listening to him talk about Index Now, which has been around for a while, it's the obvious thing to do. And it's a great initiative. Because, again, it's the only one, I think, since schema.org, where the search engines did collaborate a little bit. This one might work. But I think it's a great idea.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, to your point, it's been around for a little while. I know people have experimented with it with good and bad results. But it's interesting to hear about Index Now again in the context of this new chatbot, because if you connect the dots, it's pretty clear they want the chatbot to be updated in real time. So the only way that they can have updated information is if sites are indexing that information quickly. So it will be very interesting, and we're already seeing it with Bing's chatbot, that it is completely up to date. Like, it knows articles that were published the same day, but that's for sites that are indexed quickly, and like efficiently.
And history does kind of repeat itself, because another thing that I reminded him of back in the day, before Bing was Bing, Microsoft results used to come from a search engine called Ink2Me, which used to send a lot of results, and then they started a system called paid inclusion, where you could actually pay Ink2Me, or Microsoft as well as it was back then, to come and index your pages. You actually just sent them a link, a list of, but you had to pay for it, So
it goes full circle.
So what else is new for you? When is the next conference? You're traveling all over the place, so
this is actually the start of another little conference tour. I did one last year that was similar. Last year I spoke at this time of year, it was like, I think 7 talks in 5 countries in 5 weeks or something like that. So I'm doing the same thing next week. I'll be heading to Europe. And
do you know which country and time zone you're in right now? Just checking.
The middle of the U.S. somewhere. I learned this morning that it's not the same as New York. I was like, I think I'm on Eastern time. And it's
Central.
Not. Okay, that makes sense. Literally Texas, of course it's Central. My body just gets used to it at this point. It's like I just have to keep going and going. But so a lot of talks this year, and it's fun because there was a minute when I was like, I'm kind of talking about the same thing over and over, as much as I hate to do that. But now it's like every week there's something new to talk about. So it's exciting because you get to kind of innovate and talk about new things in different places.
It certainly has generated a lot of interest. Generated a lot of content, this whole ChatGPT thing.
A lot of content.
Interesting to see what comes next. Anyway, thanks for taking the time. I know you got a dash. Been great to see you. And be careful, because I will turn up at your place.
It's open to all. It's a, inclusive space.
I appreciate it. Cool. Thanks very much, Lily. Have a safe travels.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you so much to Lily Ray, and to all of my friends and colleagues who were happy just to hang with me and chat at PubCon. And that's it for this 2-part special. I'll be back soon with another edition of SES. And if you'd like to know who my very special guests are on the next one, just whoosh on over to searchenginestuff.com, leave your name and email address, and I'll personally send you an alert when it's available and ready to go next week. That's it for now. Peace and love to all. Catch you on the next one.